Good evening. This is the Charlton Board of Selectmen's meeting for September 11th, 2018. Would everybody rise for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The chair requests a moment of silence for those that lost their lives in New York and Pennsylvania during the 9/11 attacks. With that, tonight's agenda consists of the approving the minutes for the regular meeting of August 28th, community relations announcements and open forum, appointments and resignations. Under the first appointment, traffic enforcement officer. Under the second appointment, full-time patrolman. Third appointment, full-time dispatcher. And fourth appointment, member to stipend advisory committee. Scheduled appointments, we have Mr. Pete Boria for an update on the water and sewer department. 6:45, we have Breathe Free LLC. 7 p.m., Super Food Mart Incorporated doing business as Charlton Food Mart, change of officers and directors. 7:15 p.m., request to remove property from 61A for the Mitchells. 7:20 p.m., request to remove property from 61A for JMF and B Realty LLC. Under new business, Luna Meadows subdivision plan application for North Sturbridge Road. Number 2, 4-score adult use marijuana establishment site plan and special permit for 144 Sturbridge Road. Number 3, the fire department and local 4023 request for a boot drive. 4, special town meeting, October 15th, open the warrant. We have old business, committee reports, BoS policy review, town administrators report, other business unknown at time of posting. Our next meetings are going to be regular selectmen's meeting is September 25th at 6:30 here in the selectmen's meeting room. And then on October 2nd, the Board of Selectmen will meet for goals and objectives. That'll be at 6:30 p.m. over at 4 Dresser Hill Road. We will adjourn for executive session, and we'll return to open session for the purpose of adjourning. With that, do I have a motion for the minutes of the August 28th meeting?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Safarovich.
I move that we accept the August 28th regular meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
I said 1 second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just 1 second, please.
Okay. You're all set? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Community relations and announcements. Household Hazardous Waste Collection Day, Saturday, September 29th, 2018, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., 165 Barefoot Road over in Southbridge. We'll need a proof of residency to get in. Annual Forestry Chapter 61-61A, B, C renewals are due by October 1st to the Board of Assessors. Also, Charlton Flu Clinic. Get your flu shot here. Tuesday, October 16th, 2018, hours 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Charlton Senior Center, 37 Main Street, Charlton, Mass. Please make sure to have all of your insurance cards with you. No insurance, no problem. Nobody will be refused a flu shot. Get the shot, not the flu. With that, Ms. Craver?
Appointments?
Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Joe. We have open forum. Is there anybody here for open forum?
Hello.
Hi, Kristen, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine, thanks.
Thanks. I have a question for the board. I'm just seeking clarification. Actually, Kristen Castigian, Carroll Hill Road, sorry.
Thank you.
I perused the executed host community agreements that are available on the town's website for the Valley Green Grow operation. And there are 3 executed agreements out there, all dated August 14th, with 3 different entities for 3 different purposes. One's retail, one's manufacturing, one's cultivation. I cannot find any public record of any votes concerning the non-retail host community agreements. Maybe it was executive session, or maybe it's just something I missed. I just wanted to ask, when did the board vote to enter into the non-retail, the cultivation and the manufacturing agreements with VGG?
Well, since we don't have the things in front of us right now, Kristen, it'd be impossible for us to answer. So if you could please give that to us in writing.
Sure.
Okay, we'll look it up and we'll get an answer for you.
Thank you,
Okay?
I'll do
Thank you.
that. Okay. And then secondly, I just wanted to advocate that there is still a tremendous amount of time that you could take to your advantage to actually allow the town to vote in November regarding a ballot referendum.
Thank you,
and-
Kristen. The board has made a decision on that already, and we voted on it, so we're not here to rehash that.
I understand. Last
you.
time, I didn't have an opportunity to just explain that the language on the special town meeting warrant was pulled from KP Law's own guidance documents. It's actually written by lawyers and approved by the Attorney General. So the statements about research, I just wanted to point out that there really isn't a heck of a lot of research to do. I guess I had kind of expected Jonathan to point that out, but he didn't. So I'm here to clarify. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Is anybody else here for open forum? Seeing none, move on to the appointments, please.
Okay, Mr. Chair, as you know, an opening was made available in the police department for a traffic enforcement officer. Chief Maxfield, along with his department's command staff and Director of Human Resources, conducted interviews and selected William Beaudry. Mr. Beaudry is currently employed by the Holden Police Department and has been there since January of 2015. He previously worked in the Charlton Police Department from April of 1993 until January 2015. He holds a master's degree in public administration as well as a master's degree in criminal justice. He is also a graduate of the FBI National Academy at Quantico, Virginia. Mr. Beaudry's training and experience makes him an ideal candidate for this position. Chief Maxfield would recommend the board appoint William J. Beaudry to the position of patrolman, and his start date would be contingent upon the successful completion of the required physical and psychological exams and the required lateral transfer paperwork to civil service. I would recommend the board make this appointment.
Mr. Singer.
Mr. Chair, I would move that we make the appointment based upon the criteria specified being met.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Joe.
Mr. Chair, I just want to thank the chief and the traffic advisory committee working on this. I know this is a big step forward. Over the past year, there's been a significant increase in resident outcry for help regulating traffic. I think this is a great way to relieve that pressure, so thank you. I would request that we, once this position gets up and going, just some reports every so often, just to
Absolutely.
figure out, just some stats to chew on.
Absolutely. Just for clarification, the officer, Mr. Beaudry will be backfilling that job. I'll be appointing Officer Gaylord as the traffic enforcement officer. So, yes, I will come back and report as whenever you need me.
Perfect.
David?
So Officer Gaylord will be the traffic enforcement officer.
Yes.
He'll backfill that position. My question is very simple, and it's probably impossible to answer because of the criteria. Do you have an estimate of the time frame before we actually have the traffic enforcement officer or the beginnings of our own traffic division in place and running, and Officer Beaudry to be on board?
October 1 is what we're shooting for, or September 30. October 1 is the new bid, so he will hit the ground running on that day.
Very good.
Excellent. Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Gray. Next appointment.
Next.
Welcome aboard, Mr. Beaudry.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
would you like to?
Yeah.
Come forward?
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you. For the opportunity. I'm grateful. I won't let you down.
The police department has an opening for a full-time patrol officer due to Officer Brian Cardon's moving to the position of school resource officer. Chief Maxfield, along with his department's command staff and Director of Human Resources, conducted interviews and selected Aaron Tetlow to fill the vacant position. Mr. Tetlow is currently employed by the Southbridge Police Department and has been there since January of 2014. He is a graduate of the Bolston Police Academy and will require no FTO training. Chief Maxfield would recommend the board appoint Mr. Tetlow to the position of patrolman, and his start date would be contingent upon the successful completion of the required physical and psychological exams and the required lateral transfer paperwork to civil service. I would recommend the board make the appointment.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Singer.
I would move that we appoint Aaron J. Tetlow to the position of patrolman contingent upon the requirements specified.
Okay. Is there a
Second.
Second. We have motion and second. Any discussion? No? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Excellent. It's always a good night. Chief, where's that put us for staffing?
We'll be at 20, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
And we've also been notified by Chief Maxfield that dispatcher Gail Foley has announced her retirement from the Charlton Police Department after 28 years of service. This will leave an open dispatch position on the 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift. After posting the position as required, a dispatch interview panel, including Sergeant Cloutier, lead dispatcher Kay, Captain Babineau, and Human Resource Director Jessica Lorenz, interviewed 3 finalist candidates for the position. Their unanimous selection was Christine Bolduc, who currently serves as a dispatcher for the town in Athol, is certified in the required state 911, APCO, and EMD training. She is already a trained and certified dispatcher. Chief Maxfield would recommend the board appoint Christine Bolduc as a full-time dispatcher with a date of hire effective October 2nd, 2018.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Singer.
I would move that we appoint Christine Baldock as a full-time dispatcher with a hire date effective October 2, 2018.
Second.
We have motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none and seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Excellent.
Can I just ask the chief a quick question? Yeah.
Chief, I believe Ms. Noble has a question for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can't get away that easy.
It's hot in here.
And you're in the hot seat. I wanted to know with school starting and the new school resource officer getting up and running, how's that going with the schools?
It's going fantastic. I sent Officer Cardrant to the Nasro School Resource Officer Basic School the 3rd week of August, and the following week he started down at Bay Path. I got an update, as a matter of fact, today from Superintendent LaFleche saying that he's adapted well and they're very excited to have him, and so far so good. We did learn that we may have to change the MOU because of the governor's new law that was put in place, and they gave a standard or an agreement that they would prefer to use between municipalities and schools. So I have an appointment with Superintendent LaFleche to review that first week of October.
Okay,
So, and I'll, of course, forward it to you once we get it completed.
okay, thank you.
That's it, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chief.
Chief.
Ms. Craver.
Yes, sir. Attached is a recommendation from Jessica Lorenz, our HR Director, recommending the appointment of Frank Morrill as the Personnel Board Representative to the Stipend Advisory Committee. She was asked by the Personnel Board to assist with them with this recommendation. I would recommend the board make the appointment as requested. The openings on this committee are still being run on cable and the town's website, which is for 2 citizens at large.
Is there a motion?
It's funny, Frank thought he could get away.
That's my exact thought.
I'm surprised it lasted this long.
He's never getting away. Mr. Chair,
Mr. Singer.
I would move that we appoint Frank Morrill as the Personnel Board Representative to the Stipend Advisory Committee.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Please thank Frank for coming out of retirement. Okay. Ms. Craver.
Next up, Mr. Boyer. Pete Boyer is here to provide an update to the board on Water Sewer Department.
Hey, Pete, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
So I believe it's probably been about 6 months since I was in front of you guys to give you an update on what's going on with the water projects. So I figured I'd just stop in, seeing we're near the end of the construction season, we're probably a couple months away, and just kind of reaffirm what's been happening and how we plan on finishing, and then probably 6 months from now, come in March and let you know how we're going to start the next construction season moving forward. So in the handout I just gave you, the Berry Corner Road water line extension, Ludlow Construction has been installing the water main on Berry Corner Road. The main is almost installed all the way to Ayers Road, which would complete the portion of water line on Berry Corner Road. To date, they've installed approximately 9,100 feet of water main, about 14 hydrants. They've completed 35 of the 52 service connections to the property lines on Berry Corner Road. Next week, they plan on starting to install the water main on H Foot Road, and there's probably approximately 6,000 feet of water main there to finish that portion of the project. So the plan to finish this construction season is to try and have all the water main and service connections installed in the roadway. So when they come back in the spring, they will be working on private property only and not really affecting the traffic in the roadway. So all the trenches will have time to settle and kind of come back and fix those as they settle over the winter. See how they do in the spring and possibly pave the end of next summer or fall. So, so that project's moving forward fairly well, considering the ledge that they have been hitting. And when they start doing the private property portion of the service connections, they'll probably hit quite a bit more ledge. That might slow them down, but again, they'll be off of the roadway doing the work on private property, and it shouldn't really affect the residents using the roads. So that project is very happily been moving forward fairly well. The Route 169 pump station started construction probably a month ago. They have installed the suction and discharge piping off of Snake Hill Road. They're working on that. They've installed the LP tank pad, and they've excavated for the infiltration chamber and catch basin. They're going to continue to install the suction and discharge piping on the property, install drain lines, and excavate for the generator pad and building foundation. So again, it's moving at a little bit slower pace, but it is moving forward. Hopefully, they can get the site prepped, so when the prefab building comes in, we can set it on the foundation. All the site work will be done, the groundwork will be done, so if there is frost in the ground, it won't stop us from working on the pump station itself. So, the school loop, ExxonMobil has awarded the school loop construction to Albanese Brothers. We have a meeting scheduled with the contractor and Kleinfelder this Thursday at 10 a.m. in the library to talk about initial plans, a typical pre-construction meeting. The initial plan is for them to mobilize by the end of this month and begin construction installing the water main up Masonic Home Road towards the overlook. That way there, Kleinfelder can continue to design the pump station that's required for the overlook, and we can hopefully have that installed in the spring and get overlook connected as soon as possible so they start drawing water.
Excellent.
So that's the plan. Hopefully it works that way. And lastly, we have Buffinville, where we're trying to find our own public water supply well. We did drill 2 wells on the property that we have under lease near Buffinville. One of the wells, number 2, showed promise. However, because of the depth, the driller did not have the adequate pumps required to do a prolonged pump test. So we are working with a local well driller to go in with a different style pump that can pump, because the well depth, the water depth is about 120 feet. There's too much static head for a typical pump to try and get us to try and pump at 40 gallons per minute. So a local driller has ordered a specialty pump that we can get in there, run for 3 or 4 days. 40 gallons a minute will get us about 50,000 gallons a day, just to see if the well will handle that. And then we'll know if we want to go meet with the DEP and talk about doing the true 5-day or prolonged. The next step would be to drill an 8 or 12-inch well that would be ready for development. There's currently a 4-inch well there, and the cost to do that's approximately $80,000 to $90,000. So we just want to take this small step first, make sure that the 4-inch well gives us an adequate supply before we go ahead and spend the rest of the money to install the bigger well and do the prolonged pump test. Luckily, we've been able to renew our water master plan grant, so the state has extended that to FY19, and not only did they extend it, but they started us from zero again. So it was initially a $200,000 grant. We were able to spend probably $80,000 or $90,000 last fiscal year. They extended the grant and started us over at 200.
Very good.
So,
That's nice
yeah,
of them.
so that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So things are going well there. Hopefully that pump test will start next week, and we'll know what's going on, and the well will pan out so we can keep moving forward. So,
Thank you.
Through the
Ms.
chair,
Noble.
I know you said you'd be happy to come back in 6 months and give us an update, but if it's not too much trouble, after you do the next well test,
sure.
could you give us an update on that?
Yeah, I can come back and we can talk about Buffinville and what's going on there and how that
Yeah,
went.
having our own public water supply is incredibly important, so if
Yeah.
you could just,
Sure.
keep us apprised of that, that would be wonderful. Thank you so
You
much
bet.
for all your work.
No, you bet, no problem. Is that it?
Excellent. Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, Pete.
Thank you, guys.
Great progress.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
nice-
thank the board also.
You bet. I'll send that to you.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of work.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right. Ms. Craver?
Next up is Breathe Free LLC. Blake Messling, representing Breathe Free LLC, has asked to be placed on the agenda to introduce his client. On October 9th, he sent an email to the board with an introductory letter, which is attached.
Good evening. Thank you for meeting with us today. As my letter said, I'm a former municipal attorney myself, and also a conservation commissioner is in my past as well, so I sympathize with the responsibilities placed upon local regulators. So again, the purpose of this meeting is to introduce my clients to you. We are trying to determine the board's opinion on entering into negotiations for a host community agreement, which, as you may be aware, is a prerequisite for applying for state licensure from the Cannabis Control Commission. My clients have a purchase and sale agreement for a currently vacant parcel of land at 99A Dresser Hill Road, which is just over 20 acres. There would be a few permits required. Obviously, the marijuana special permit is paramount. We'd also be seeking a reduced frontage special permit. We've met with Bill Scanlon and Kurt Meskis to that effect. I've also had conversations with Todd Gerard in the Conservation Office, as well as Rose. There's some wetlands bordering very, very close to where the driveway runs, so we would also be appearing before the Conservation Commission. But again, as I said, the purpose of this introductory session here is to just inform you that my clients are not seeking to be the Budweiser of cannabis, but they're looking to have a markedly higher quality product of the craft cultivation variety. The plan is to put a 30,000 square foot steel building with 2 floors on the property, very much set back. The property itself was part of a subdivision that didn't get fully built out, so there's some paper streets lurking. The current driveway is a gravel driveway that would be improved, obviously, to withstand construction vehicles and then eventual, intermittent deliveries in terms of the wholesaling. So also, as you may be aware, Section 200-520 subsection E requires that an applicant for a special permit under the bylaw obtain a host community agreement with the Board of Selectmen, again, as a condition precedent for that application. So that is what we are doing here, and we are happy to answer any and all questions you might have, obviously being sensitive to the time allotted for us.
Ms. Kramer, anything to say?
I have not met with him. I am aware of the property. Given the issues that are going on in the town of Charlton, I just scheduled them for today to get a sense on where you would like to go. I'm not clear, and I need direction from the board. So I have not done any work on this.
Mr. Singer?
My initial response is, on this, I'd like to have a full board. We don't have a full board to even discuss it without Karen here, so I would like to hold off any discussion until our board's complete. Two, with what's going on right now, I'm a little hesitant to, I think, proceed down any road until we see what happens at the town meetings and what's coming up. Also because there are others as well that are in play, and there could be other restrictions that get put in play, which can change everything for everybody. So I just want to proceed really with caution and with a full board.
If I may, you have a quorum, so you're absolutely legally allowed to
I
discuss that.
understand what I'm legally allowed to do, but I'm also one who
Certainly.
says just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Understood.
And even if I can without a full board, I won't.
Understood. The other point, the pendency of the vote in November is, I understand, politically important. Again, it is legally immaterial. The zoning that's enforced today is what you're bound to apply. MGL Chapter 94, Section 3A specifically prohibits a town from having unreasonably impracticable zoning. The fact that you've made a host community agreement a condition precedent for us applying for the special permit, if you will not discuss this agreement with us before that vote, that's absolutely flying in the face of Section 3A.
So my wanting to not discuss with you isn't because of the vote. I mentioned my caution for that and how that could change everything. What I don't like is a lawyer putting words in my mouth. So we can start this off on the wrong foot. That's your choice. My reason for waiting, and I'm very frank, is that I don't have a full board.
Understood. And
When I have a full board, then I'm happy to have the conversation at that time.
Sir, I did not
Regardless
attempt.
of what the vote says.
I appreciate that, and I respect that. I absolutely was not attempting to put words in your mouth. I am merely stating what the statute requires.
Well, that's fine, but I still take the way you said it in a veiled way.
All right.
I didn't appreciate it because that's not what I was
I don't-
implying.
Does anybody else have anything?
Sir, that was not veiled. It was a
Chair?
citation of the
Mr.
statute.
Safarovich?
Which I was not saying we're going to hold you, I wasn't saying we're not going to talk to you until then.
All right.
Very
I have a
well.
question.
We're just trying to
forgive me.
follow the rules, pay our taxes.
No,
We have a young son, we're trying to move into the town, sell our
I
house.
appreciate that.
and-
I just don't like someone telling me that I'm saying, I said something I didn't.
So the
was not
chair
saying.
has recognized Mr. Safarovich.
Thank you. Just a quick question on the zoning that we currently have in place. We currently have a cap of 2 retail licenses and 2 grow licenses,
Special permits.
special permits. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No, I was just, I was looking at the location here on the map, and I see that there's Charlton Furniture, and I wanted to know where it was in relation to other residences and other businesses.
Sure.
I got the map if you want.
We have
to
a
see it.
draft plan if you care.
You
to
won't
look.
even see the building from the road. It's gonna be back in the woods, you know what I mean? So it's just more revenue you guys could bring in for the town,
So one of the things, Deb, do you have anything else?
Well, I'm gonna have to look at the site, probably drive up there myself, and, no, I will have to physically drive up there and
Yeah.
look at it.
It's out there, it's in the woods.
Yep,
So we're just
yeah.
trying to do the right thing.
I'm curious about how many people you'll employ.
Between 15 and 20 employees. The building, we were gonna first build out the first 10,000. The building will be capable of do 50,000 square feet, because it's gonna be a 30,000-foot double, with 2 stories, so.
Right, so we're actually looking to start at 10,000 square feet, as far as footprint of just the growing, and then tier up slowly as the demand might meet fit for it.
Okay, so, I just want to say something. So, a couple of things. There is no November 4th vote on marijuana. That is going to take place at the May annual town meeting. So, that's the first thing. The second thing is that I agree with Mr. Singer, because one of the board members isn't here.
Understand.
And we would like to have all 5 members of the board here, because everybody has a very good opinion
Yeah.
on this, and we'd like to hear from. So really, the board's in no rush to do anything. There's no need for us to rush.
Right.
Now that we know where the address is, I think that's a good thing.
Mhm.
I think the probably be in touch with the town administrator as to, you know, when you can come back in front of the board, when we plan on having a full board. And Ms. Bewack didn't know that she wasn't gonna be here tonight until very
Understand.
late in the meeting. And we'll move on from there. So I know Mr. Singer had something else to say.
Just a real quick comment and a question. The comment is you're absolutely right about Charlton's top-notch schools.
Yeah.
Because that's without question. What I don't see in here, I see cultivation. So my question is it, you just want to grow?
Just grow.
cultivate, or did you want to expand in the future to medicinal sales or recreational, or you just want to
Possibly.
grow?
Like our investors, they would want to try to get like a dispensary out in the Boston area. We're not trying to bring more traffic to your town. We just want to be the guy that's not there. You know what I
So
mean?
simply a grow, and then it's moved elsewhere for distribution?
Exactly.
Mr. Safarovich? Wait, Deb? Oh, Joe is yielding to you, Deb. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I may have missed it, but could the speakers identify themselves?
Oh, yeah.
My name's Kyle Stevens. That's my fiance,
I'm
Christina McHugh.
And addresses, please? Addresses for the.
Oh, my
record.
address?
We live at 12 Chicopee Road in Middlefield, Connecticut. We're not residents of Charlton as of just yet.
We live in a small farm town just like you guys.
We
you know?
actually, that's why we like Charlton so much, is because Middlefield there's 4,000 residents. I mean, it's all farmland. It's just like it is here. So when we first drove in, it was just kind of like, wow, this is just like home. This is perfect, you know? So normally if it was any, you know, type of other town, I think we would have probably gotten discouraged by, you know, the things going on and the future vote upcoming. But we were willing to kind of fight a little bit for this because of the location, so.
And the name Breathe Free, right there, came from Statue of Liberty. Give me you're tired, you're poor, you're weak, huddling masses, and yearning to breathe free. And what I get from that is let your people be prosperous, you know what I mean? And I just want to do the right thing. I'm a good dad. I got a 1-year-old son trying to be a good dad and do the job I love and be proud of what I do.
Okay, so Mr. Safarovich, since you so eloquently yielded,
Just one request, if, I know you have a map, if you want to leave that with us, and or
absolutely.
also email us a copy, just
Yeah.
for our own information.
Absolutely.
okay, Ms. Noble?
I do know where Middlefield, Connecticut is. I'm
Mm.
from Connecticcut myself,
Mm.
so.
Okay, yeah, it's right near Middletown, so
Yep.
it's very small.
It is literally physically in the middle of the state.
Yeah. very
A lot of fields too.
So, you chose Charlton for a reason.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're very valid reasons. But why did you choose to get into this industry?
His
I've been in
brother-
it 15 years. It's what I do. Yeah, and
Could you be more specific in saying, I've been in this for 15 years?
His
Have you?
brother lives in California.
I work
And
with him.
so-
We've started several gardens out in California.
Okay.
I network with some of the best breeders in the world, and we are breeders too. So we're not just making stuff. We're actually a creator of the industry. You know what I mean? So every industry needs creators, and what we do, we select from thousands of seeds. One variety, thousands of seeds. Say if you had 100 brothers and sisters, everyone's gonna have a different, you're all gonna look the same, but there's that one brother and that one sister, that perfect one. That's what we choose. We do the extra mile. Instead of most companies just buy clones, bring them in, and they're just looking for that, the quick cash on what's big, but we're on the connoisseur market, which, not like, with all the big gardens going in, there's gonna be a ton of them coming in. They're gonna get reduced down the price to about $500 a pound, where we could still stay at $3,000 a pound. And, we're not a lot of people like me that actually been in this for that long, dealing with the right people. I just hope you guys see it that
I've never
way.
seen someone more passionate, honestly, than how he is about it. And, years and years ago, honestly, I was very critical of it and didn't want to hear anything about it. And, it seems like the laws are kind of starting to change and people are becoming more accepting of it. But, it's just what he loves to do. And it's,
We are
being able
the-
to do it here legally is his dream come true.
Yeah.
So that's why.
We are the patriots of the game. Most people, when they're patriots, everyone looks down on them, and then time goes by, the status quo changes. And then all of a sudden, wow, he was right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
It's
this is
very
Massachusetts, where's your, Patriot spirit, so.
Selectman Singer?
No, he answered my question about what a breeder is basically for marijuana, and I had no idea there was a whole craft thing for marijuana.
Oh,
Yeah, you'd be surprised. It's
the
funny
big
stuff.
places, they grow just like you grow lettuce in your garden, or just go like in the grocery store. They're growing hydroponics with Rockwell cubes. We grow in soil. You know what I mean? So if you ever had lettuce from the grocery store, if you ever grown lettuce in your backyard and you taste it and there's just that difference, it's just better for some reason, you know what I mean? Though, it's, that's what it is, like.
So is the board's direction to the town administrator to stay in touch with the people, and when we get a full quorum,
Yeah,
have them come back?
Karen should be back for the next meeting, I would think.
Yeah, and just,
Our thing is
and
with
just
the
and just
property,
collect
too.
and distribute information.
Please. Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent.
So
Yeah.
if I may, I'll obviously reach out to you, Ms. Craver, but we'd like to request an audience at the very next Board of Selectmen meeting. The purchase and sale agreement does have a time horizon built into it. Essentially, we have to demonstrate that we are communicating with the town to navigate the municipal process as you direct us. So we've obviously commenced speaking with you, but we want to commence filing things just so we aren't out of contract with the purchase and sale agreement.
Excellent.
Thank you very much for your
Yep.
time.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Attached is a public hearing notice from attorney Arthur Perlman on behalf of Superfood Mart Incorporated, doing business as Charlton Food Mart at 109 Masonic Home Road, Charlton, for a change of officers and directors, transfer of stock, and pledge of license. The current beneficial interest is by S. Patel, Amrut Patel, and B. Patel. The request for the change of beneficial interest is to B. Patel only. They are also seeking to pledge the license and inventory. The chairman should open the hearing by reading the public hearing notice as placed in the paper.
If I may, I've got one original and I've got copies for everybody
Can
else.
we have you just hold until he opens the hearing? And then
Okay, just hold on to it. Charlton Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, at 7 p.m. or a little later, at the Charlton Town Hall, 37 Main Street, Charlton, Mass., in the Selectmen's Meeting Room, to act on a request from Arthur Perlman, attorney on behalf of Superfood Mart, Inc., doing business as Charlton Food Mart, 109 Masonic Home Road, Charlton, Mass., for a change of officers and directors, transfer of stock, and a pledge of license. Anyone wishing to be heard in this matter should appear at the time and date specified or submit concerns in writing. The hearing is open. Ms. Craver? Anything specific?
No, sir. So let the record show that Mr. Perlman has handed out paperwork within the hearing.
That's the original, I'll give that to you.
And this just appears a transfer of ownership.
Yes, sir.
Pretty straightforward. Okay.
Would you like
No
to
butters.
explain?
Whom said? If it please the board, my name is Arthur Perlman. I represent Bikabai Patel and Superfood Mart, Inc. What I gave you a moment ago was just an affidavit from me. You can use it or not. I just do it so it might make it easier for you to show that, in fact, there was notification placed in the newspaper for this. We're seeking a transfer of stock of the corporation from Saurabh Patel, who had 80%, and Amrut Patel, who had 10%, and when they're transferring it to Bikabai Patel, who already had 10% and will now have 100%. We're also seeking a change of officers and directors. Saurabh Patel had been the president, secretary, and treasurer, and Saurabh Patel and Amrut Patel had also been directors. They are now resigning. Bikabai has been elected. Now he will be the sole officer and sole director of the corporation. The corporation holds a wine and malt package store license. Therefore, a change of ownership as well as officers and directors has to be approved by the town as well as the ABC. I've submitted the affidavit and exhibits relative to the notice. Mailed notice to abutters is not required under this type of a transfer. Superfood Mart, Inc. is a mass corporation. If the transfer of stock and change of officers and directors is approved, Bikabai Patel will be the sole officer and director and 100% shareholder. Bikabai Patel is currently living at 12 Laurie Lane in Charlton. Bikabai Patel is currently the manager on your liquor license, and he will continue to be the manager on the liquor license. The business will continue to be operated with family members. He will continue to spend at least 40 hours a week at the business. The current operating hours will be maintained. The current setup of the store will be maintained. Nothing regarding the operation of the business is changing. This is all about corporate structure and stock ownership. That's all it is. Bikabai Patel is familiar with the laws relative to the sale of alcohol. There has never been a violation of any of the laws while they have owned and operated Superfood Mart. He will continue to uphold all the laws, statutory, and the rules and regulations of the town, and we respectfully request that the board approve this change of stock ownership and officers and directors.
Okay. Does the board have any questions for Mr. Perlman? No. Is there any questions from anyone in the audience? Seeing no questions from anyone in the audience,
Mr. Chair, I move that we close the hearing.
do we have a second?
Second.
Motion's been made to close the public hearing, and a second has been made. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
I move
Safarovich.
that we approve the change of ownership, directors, and officers as requested.
Second.
And we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. Attached is a request from Attorney George Christie on behalf of 0 Point Energy Solutions and Protec Energy Solutions to remove property from Chapter 61A upon land owned by Mark and Tammy Mitchell located on Brookfield Road for solar. The parcel is identified as Map 16, Block A, Lot 2, and the converted land consists of 21.1377 acres. The Planning Board, Board of Assessors, Conservation Commission, and Water and Sewer Commission all reviewed the request, and I will say the Planning Board, the Conservation Commission, and Water Sewer Commission have no objection to the town of Charlton choosing not to exercise their right of first refusal for this request. I have been informed by the Director of Assessing that the Board of Assessors would like to review their recommendation and request that the hearing be postponed or continued until October 9th.
Okay. So I'm going to open the public hearing. Okay. Public hearing notice. Please be advised that the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 11, 2018, at 7:15 p.m. at the Charlton Town Hall, 37 Main Street, Charlton, Mass. 01507, to act on a request by Attorney George Koretzy on behalf of 0 Point Energy Solutions and Protec Energy Solutions to remove property from Chapter 61A upon land owned by Mark and Tammy Mitchell located on Brookfield Road for the solar. The parcel is identified as Map 16, Block A, Lot 2, and the converted land consists of 21.1377 acres. Anyone interested should appear at the date and time specified or submit concerns in writing. So we heard from the town administrator that nobody else had any problems with this, but the Board of Assessors would like to postpone until October 9th. So hearing that.
I would move that we postpone the hearing. Can we do that, or continue the
Continuing,
hearing?
yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I move that we continue this hearing until October 9th at the request of the Board of Assessors.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Safarovich stepped out of the room, so we'll wait for 1 second to see if he comes back.
For clarity purposes, while we're waiting for him, this conversation was with the Director of Assessing,
Okay.
and we had actually talked about October 16th. I took a look at your calendar, and October 16th is your off week.
Okay.
So I've just backed it up. The following Tuesday would be that's,
So if, we
Well,
can go the 9th, or we
I-
can go the 23rd?
I would suggest the 9th, and because you'll be setting a date certain. And then
Okay.
if they need additional time, I can come back on the 9th, and you can open it and then continue it to after.
Okay.
Joe, so we have a motion on the floor and a second to, per the request from the Director of Assessing, to continue this to October 9th.
Sounds good to me. I have another question on the moratorium. I assume this project falls, they probably followed a subdivision before before the zoning bylaw change, so it's locked in.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There were several.
Yeah, I assume this was
Yeah.
one
So
of
we have a
them.
motion and a second to continue the public hearing till October 9th. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Ms. Graver?
Attached is a request from Attorney George Christie on behalf of JFM and B Realty LLC to remove property from Chapter 61A on Brookfield Road for solar. The parcel is identified as map 16, block A, lot 5, and the converted land consists of 22.0064 acres. Again, the planning board, originally the Board of Assessors, Conservation, and Water Sewer Commission had all reviewed the request and did not have any objections. But as I've stated, the Board of Assessors, after speaking with the Director of Assessing, they will be reviewing their request and would like to ask you to also open this hearing and continue it until October 9th.
Okay. Public hearing notice. Please be advised that the Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 11th, 2018, at 7:20 PM at the Charlton Town Hall, 37 Main Street, Charlton, Mass. 01507, to act on a request by Attorney George P. Carizzi on behalf of JMF and B Realty LLC to remove property from Chapter 61A on Brookfield Road for solar. The parcel is identified as map 16, block A, lot 5, and the converted land consists of 22.0064 acres. Anyone interested should appear at the date and time specified or submit concerns in writing. Do we have a motion to continue this?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
New business.
Attached is a copy of an application and plan submitted to the planning board by Beta Group Incorporated on behalf of the applicant's owners, Pamela Blackadar, John Stockman, and Davis Stockman, requesting approval of a definitive subdivision plan consisting of one lot and a roadway area with a cul-de-sac 400 feet in length. The purpose of the plan is to create access and lot frontage for a future solar project. The applicant has requested several waivers of the board's regulations. The proposed subdivision is located on North Sturbridge Road and is listed as Assessor's Map 14, Block B, Parcel 7 and 11.1. The property is zoned agriculture. You are asked to review the plan, and should you have any comments or questions, we must notify the planning board no later than Tuesday, September 18th.
Does anybody have any questions, comments? Deb?
I'd like to know what waivers they're requesting. And for what purpose?
Okay, we will get you
Anybody
that
else? Any
information.
Questions or comments?
Thank you.
And if you have any comments after that, we'll just forward them if that's okay with the board. Okay.
Excellent. Next one, for school.
Attached is a copy of an application and plans, submitted to the planning board by Fourscore Holdings LLC, One International Place, Suite 3700, Boston, Massachusetts, for a special permit and site plan approval for an adult use marijuana establishment. The applicant proposes to operate a marijuana cultivation and production facility in an existing 20,000 square foot building with a proposed 1,000 square foot addition. The property is located at 144 Sturbridge Road, Assessor Map 3, Block C, Parcel 13, and is zoned industrial general. You are asked to review the plan, and should you have any comments or questions, we must notify the planning board no later than Tuesday, September 18th.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on Four Schools site plan?
Quick question.
Yep.
The next planning board meeting, would that be the 19th of this month?
I would say if they're looking for 18th.
Be the 19th?
It'd be 19th.
It is for
Wednesday.
the 19th.
Okay, so they'll be talking about this at their September 19th meeting then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just to clarify that, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. The Charlton Fire Department and Local 4023 are requesting permission to hold their MDA Fill the Boot Drive on Saturday, September 15th, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. with a rain date of September 16th at the intersection of Masonic Home Road, Old Worcester Road, North Main Street, and Main Street. This request was forwarded and approved by Chief Maxfield contingent upon the following safety precautions. All volunteers must wear bright-colored vests. Orange traffic cones must be set out at the roads requested for a distance of not less than 50 feet on each respective way prior to reaching the boot drive location. A minimum of 5 traffic cones on each roadway should be put in place at a distance of no greater than 10 feet apart. And signs warning voluntary boot drive ahead must be erected not less than 75 feet from the toll station. I would recommend the board approve the request.
Do we have a motion?
Chair, so moved.
Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
This is number 4, voluntary toll road this year? 3, 4? No. Just wondering.
I can get that
Yeah,
information
I would
for
say
you.
so.
I think it's number 4,
Number
yeah.
Relay for Life was one.
Mhm.
The Knights of Columbus is the other one.
Mhm.
Then they
I think it
did
was
a
another
ribbon
there,
one,
too.
And yeah, and then there was a ribbon,
something, yeah.
so. All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Craver. Special town meeting.
Yes, sir. A special time meeting has come upon us. Attached is a proposed calendar which has you opening the warrant tonight and the special town meeting to be held Monday, October 15th. We have confirmed the date is available with the school, town council, moderator, and town clerk. The calendar has you closing the warrant Tuesday, September 25th. Tonight, if you have no revisions, we ask you to approve the special town meeting calendar and open the warrant. I had a department head meeting where I asked them to begin the process with their boards and committees 2 weeks ago. I will have a preliminary list for you at your next meeting for review. As usual, if departments want a warrant article and do not have the exact wording, I would encourage them to request a placeholder so that an appropriate language can be developed.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Safarovich.
I move that we open the special town meeting warrant and approve the calendar.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So I can tell you that I have about 10 articles. The one marijuana one that I have something submitted from the planning board to revise the Article 27.
Mhm.
And as you know, the AG office asked for 3 days to review, so
Mhm.
we're anticipating that final language and approval to come back on Friday.
Through the chair?
Ms. Noble?
The warrant articles that we currently have listed, are they open for discussion at the moment, at this point
Sure.
on the board?
If you have questions.
When last we met, Joe, Selectman Safarovich, had a motion to place on the town warrant for the town meeting, a ban on marijuana?
There was
It was a zoning ban.
A zoning ban. And is that still on the list?
I have not included it at this point. I haven't put together the whole list, so what I have on is the stat articles that are capital,
Mm-hmm.
interdepartmental transfers. We have a classification change, We have the planning board's
Mhm.
warrant article to revise the zoning by Article 27.
Yep,
I have not put that on yet.
okay.
So, yeah, I think, first of all, we should have that whole discussion when the whole board is here. number
Right.
one, okay?
Okay.
The second thing is that there was some, well, we'll wait till we get to old business and I'll talk about that, okay? But, so is everybody happy with what's going on with the town meeting warrant and, you know, the schedule?
Yes,
calendar
yes, the
and
schedule's fine.
equipment?
Yep.
Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in on the old business. We received notification from the Assistant Attorney General, Margaret Hurley,
You should probably speak into the
about
mic.
some decisions that were made. I believe it was Bellingham, and I can't remember the other entity. But basically, they declared the legislation that the town meeting had put forth as illegal, and they told them that they
Excuse me,
had...
Mr. Chairman, I can't hear you. If you could speak up.
Sure. We received correspondence,
Is the
and I
microphone
believe
on?
the article was in the paper today, Jerry, about the Assistant AG, Margaret Hurley, talking about medical marijuana and disallowing a vote that two towns took, and the two towns escape me right now. One was Bellingham, and I can't think of the second one. But what they said is that they cannot, Northborough, that's it, thank you. But what they said is they cannot ban medical marijuana. So my question to the town administrator is, would she please contact the town council and ask them if that has any bearing on anything that we've done as a town? Okay. And you did hear the town administrator say that, that the Assistant Attorney General, Margaret Hurley, had asked for an extension
I just see
for
that.
3 years.
Thank you.
Okay. Sometimes I mumble a lot, Jerry. Okay, that's all I have for business.
Okay, through the chair.
Mhm.
I brought up the question of the ban because I was at the planning board meeting last week, and I sat there probably through, probably 2.5 hours of it, and it was very obvious to me at the beginning of the meeting, at the beginning of the planning board meeting, they are working diligently to provide equitable remedies
Mhm.
to the current zoning. So I would like to allow them time to do what they do best, and that is to work on the zoning and the planning and get their wording correct to the point where they're satisfied with it. And I don't want to undercut them in any way or try and impede their progress.
Okay.
They're really working hard on this. It was very obvious at that meeting.
All right, thank you. Any other old business? Nothing? You have nothing? No, just checking. Joe?
Old business or other business?
Old business.
No?
Okay. Committee reports? Committee reports. Ms. Cravey, you want to talk about the fire station building committee?
Certainly.
Public safety building committee, excuse me.
Certainly, be glad to. The Public Safety Building Committee has been meeting diligently. They received applications for the owner's management representative, which is the OPM. We've scored, and we will continue to score that. Did you want to talk about that? Oh, I saw you coming
I'll give
forward.
you the update. The chief just said that you guys were talking about it. I have no problem with talking about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come on.
All right. Good evening. So we are actually at a very...
Introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry, Rob Barton, captain on the Charlton Fire Department. I'm the recording, I'm on the committee as well. So we're at a very exciting point right now. The committee's pretty excited. We've narrowed our 8 bids for the OPM down to 4. We're interviewing the 4 candidates on Monday, starting at 5 o'clock. I've reached out to all of them. We've confirmed appointments, and they have reached back, very excited to come out and talk about their company. Moving forward, tomorrow we have a site review for anybody who's taken out an architectural bid. 42 packets have been mailed out to companies that are interested. We don't know how many that we'll receive on the way back in, but 42 have been sent out. On Thursday, the committee meets again to review the OPM interview questions and to go over the scoring sheet that we used to go from 8 candidates down to 4 for the OPM. October 3rd is the bid opening for the architectural design firm, and then hopefully then we'll start reviewing some packets and be able to get a architectural person on board. We're hoping to have the OPM on board on October 1st, and then we'll open the bids on October 3rd. So we're moving right along. Again, very excited to be at this stage in the game. We took about a month off to regroup, little hiatus, and now everybody's kind of back at the table, ready to go. It's kind of where we're at right now. I don't know if there's any other questions or any questions at all, if there's any other update I can give you.
Just on September 19th, I think we meet with the 4 finalists for the OPM, and we ask them the questions, correct? Is it the
17th. 17th. Monday the 17th is when the interviews actually are with the 4 companies.
And with that, I'll also add that I was in conversation today with the CEO at Masonic Home. We are working, and I had a conversation with the attorney today that they have that's drawing up the papers. What it appears is the parcel that we are looking to purchase is actually still part of the larger parcel, so they're going to have to do a subdivision and divide that land out. So they have started that process. They do know we are on a fast track, and I should have a P&S for you to see shortly.
Okay, excellent. David, any questions? No? That's it. I just want to thank the townspeople for, at town meeting, giving us the money to move forward with this. It's definitely needed, and we really appreciate it. So.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just a little something from the Municipal Building Committee. We've had the final portion of rugs were installed over in the north end of the building, I'll call it, the northeast end of the building. So that project's all done. It looks good, and I want to thank Kurt for spearheading that. He goes above and beyond a lot of times. So with that, Ms. Craver.
So next will be the town administrator's report. We have been notified by Mass Department of Revenue, Division of Local Services, that they have certified the amount of available funds or free cash as of July 1st, 2018. The town of Charlton the general fund is $1,333,620. Enterprise fund for water is $260,233, and the enterprise fund for sewers retained earnings is $802,952. The NEC filing, we have been notified by Jake Daigle from Liberty Energy Trust that the NEC Northeast Center has officially filed their EFSB petition as of September 4th. They will need to hold a public hearing in Charlton sometime in October. I will keep you updated as more information is received. They've also asked me to set up a meeting with our state representatives, which I will start to work on shortly.
Okay.
I am also continuing to work on the gas and distribution, and have sought out several entities that can help educate me on what we need to know and how to move forward with that. Tomorrow, I will be meeting with Copeland and Page in Boston, and bringing their best and brightest regarding gas distribution to start looking at an RFP.
Okay.
Excellent. I did I did have, does anybody have any questions for the town administrator? No. I did have one thing that I did want to bring up and I forgot about. A couple of people have told me that they're having a lot of problems still with Treehouse, with the people turning in Amrek's old driveway and turning in Zorba's driveway and still cutting across the road. So this is a twofold question. Could we ask the chief to please put extra patrol on that, or whatever he has to do with Treehouse? One of the people, their employees, nearly got T-boned, and they were on private property at Amrek. And the people came zipping into the driveway and nearly got the guy that works there. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, could we please find out what is going on with the traffic improvements for Treehouse and Route 20?
I think there's something tomorrow.
Yeah, but that's regardless of their addition.
That's NEPA.
Yeah, that's, all that other stuff. District 3 should have a clue of what's going on with that and where they are.
Well, I can tell you, I almost got killed there. This is now the fourth time again, even with the right turn only. And it's just a couple days ago, coming up 20 east. As I'm approaching Treehouse, even with the orange cones to the right turn only, car pulled right in front of me, right into the left lane, brake, spun a U in the middle of Route 20. Like, are you kidding me? And then broadside of me right in front of me, like, you gotta be kidding me. It just happens over
What
and
was
over.
relayed to me is that the Amrek employee was in their driveway, and somebody was trying to beat the traffic coming eastbound from the left-bound lane to make a U-turn, and they pulled into Amrek's driveway and nearly got his car. So, you know, they gotta do something. They're a great they're a great neighbor. I know they're trying to do something.
And it's not their fault, we understand that, but if the general public, though, they're gonna kill somebody or multiple
Or
people.
they're gonna get hurt too.
Yeah.
Well,
So with that-
through the chair, let's hope that the new traffic enforcement officer will be working diligently to address these issues, because
They'll be very busy.
I
with that
traveled
kind
up
of
and
stuff.
down Route 20 over the weekend, and it was the same instances that you guys are describing.
And I know they're trying to educate their customers, I know they've done whatever we've asked. They put boards out
Yep.
there, they have cones out there, they've hired detail people, you know, I think,
A couple of tickets
we'll let
that cost more than their beer will change people very quickly.
Well, we'll let the chief figure it out. So,
I will relay that to him.
that's, thank you. All right, that's it. Mr. Saparovich.
Thank you. Just speaking of Treehouse and Old Home Day, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Old Home Day Committee for putting on another wonderful event this year. And the road race with the special liquor license sponsored by Treehouse went over pretty well. I didn't hear any complaints.
You ran?
I just want to take, I did run, under 9-minute mile, so survived. But I would ask just a report just on how it went from our police.
Okay.
You know, it was a bit of a controversial issue when we were first addressing it.
Yeah, and from all, I had a family member participate also, and from her observations, everything went very, very well. There were no issues, and very well, the coordinators of that part of the event really did a fine job. And the Old Home Day Committee, as Joe said, once again, spectacular. I mean, we had great weather, everybody really, really enjoyed it. You know, the public safety, thank you for everything that they've done, the police and the fire department, everybody was safe. We didn't have really any incidences, we're doing well, so.
Can I just clarify, did you say you were just giving an update, or were you asking for the Old Home Day to come and give you an update?
Not Old Home Day, just get a report from the event, just to make sure there weren't any issues, anything that went well, anything that didn't go well. Because I would assume we would probably come back again next year, and we were doing this as a bit of a test case, having an outdoor beer garden.
Joe needs to beat his time next year.
It's fun. I would highly recommend the race.
Take all the hills out and I'll do it.
Any other business unknown at the time of posting? All right, our next meeting announcement, regular selectmen's meeting, September 25th, 2018, 6:30 PM, right here at the Selectmen's Meeting Room. And on October 2nd, Board of Selectmen Goals and Objectives, 6:30 PM over at 4 Dresser Hill Road. And with that, Mr. Saffaro.
Mr. Chair, I move that we enter in executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, for reasons, number one, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, and for reason number three, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body for the police and potential litigation of Allegheny Grow Development Agreement, if the chair declares an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiation position of the public body, and to return to open session for the purpose of adjournment.
Mr. Chair.
That's great.
I'm going to ask if you would change that motion or amend that motion to include to come out of executive session, if so need be, for any business to be continued.
Any particular business
It's around litigation.
around
There's a
litigation?
request, so you can go into your executive session regarding strategy, but you would come back out to take any, if you wanted to honor the request regarding this litigation, this threatened litigation.
Threatened litigation, okay.
So with that, the chair so declares, and we will be exiting executive session to discuss potential litigation,
Yes, sir.
or a decision on potential litigation. So do we have a second?
Second.
I would also want to add that this just came in today,
Okay.
so we did not have time to get this on the warrant.
Okay, so we have a motion, a second. Any discussion?
Agenda.
Hearing none, seeing none. David?
Aye.
Mr. Safarovich?
Aye.
Ms. Noble?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. All right, we enter executive session,
Yep.
and we will exit.